people will run to whatever gets acknowledged, and how they intentionally do and what happens to people afterwards. There's a reason why it's called the starving artist, for a reason. And I don't think it's because people are not talented. I think that the system is designed to do certain things to certain people, and all of it has been run by power and money and so many things like that. So
wherever you guys are watching this show, I would truly appreciate it if you follow or subscribe. It helps a lot with the algorithm. It helps us get bigger and better guests, and it helps us grow the team. Truly means a lot. Thank you guys for supporting, and here's the episode. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready to be inspired, because we got Garrain Jones here today. How's it going, my man?
I'm so glad we did it.
It's been a long time in the making,
bro.
man.
Yeah,
dude, I love the fit.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. What's on the
one golden thread just feels good on my body.
Golden thread? Interesting.
One golden thread.
What's that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a name brand. My boy Jeff Skull.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Cool.
It's his company.
Talk to me about the necklace. What's going on there?
So I have a company called Artist Power. The artist is the little kid who remembers, and when you can tap back into the energy, it unlocks a power. And there's a guy on my team, his name is Wafik, and he creates crystals. So all of these beads are actual crystals that he put together, and they all, it's a symbol of authentic expression, which is it's like symbolizes my company.
That's pretty cool. I'm kind of big on crystals. I like crystals.
Yeah.
Yeah, each one has its own meaning, right?
Yep.
Yeah, do you believe in that sort of stuff?
I do to a certain extent, but not to the point where I put my whole life into it and I ignore myself. There's some people, they're like, this is how I see, this is how I breathe. I don't believe in that, because if it's anything that takes me away from myself, I don't want anything else to be a representation of that. But what I do believe is there are certain frequencies and energies that can enhance what's already there. And so this is like a magnifying glass to enhance my authentic expression.
I like that.
Yeah.
What are some other frequencies and energies that you've noticed that help out?
Sound, music, dance, just everything that I even built my whole company around was to teach people how to elevate their frequencies internally, because right now we're surrounded, TV, the news, the radio, pretty much a lot of mainstream media, it's low resonating frequencies. So anything that I can do to contribute to humanity in a way that's not so blaring, hey guys, they're trying to kill you with all the frequencies. What I'll do is just code everything that I do with a higher range of frequencies and vibration, even when it comes to speaking big intentions inside of prayers, meditations, my retreats, masterminds. Any words that I say are all coded with a higher range of frequencies, so that if you feel you're like, there's just something about this book, or there's just something about this community, you're actually feeling the intention of the frequency and vibration that was intentionally put, so that it will be less combative when you go out there in the real world and you're just swallowed by all of this fast food frequencies, low resonating frequencies, what they allow and condone on mainstream radio to make us stupider, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you think these giant companies, these music companies, these news stations know that they're releasing low frequency
100%.
Stuff? Yeah?
100%. Listen, I barely know how to play chess. And I know when chess is being played. And I barely know how. But I'm really good at putting puzzle pieces together. When I was a little kid, I used to love anything about matching certain things together. That's why I'm good at supporting people with healing inside of their nervous system and releasing traumas of any sort, because all I'm doing is matching their current life with their childhood life and seeing which one of those stick together.
Wow.
I'm very aware when somebody is running game on other people because I love games. And so I can see when games are being played.
Do you guys spend a lot of time or money or both on food, especially cooking and ordering delivery? Well, look no further than Factor, guys. Factor's got delicious, ready-to-eat meals that you could cook in just 2 minutes. They got over 35 different options to choose from every week. They got Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. They got what you need for your diet. They got over 60 add-ons to help you stay fueled and feeling good all day. What are you waiting for, guys? Get started and get after your goals. Restaurant quality food, guys. I've had quite a few meals. I've tried other meal prep companies. Factor is actually my favorite by far. The taste, the flavoring, the spices, all top quality. They got breakfast, they got midday bites, whatever you need. No prepping, cooking, or cleanup needed. This is huge, guys, but you just throw it in the microwave for 2 minutes and you can eat right there. You can pause or reschedule your deliveries anytime. So it's a perfect solution if you're looking for something fast, something premium with no cooking required. They've also done the math. It's cheaper than takeout and it's dietitian approved to be nutritious and delicious. Head to factormeals.com/DSH50 for 50% off. DSH50 at factormeals.com/DSH50.
So I 100% am aware that these things are very, very intentional.
It seems that way, especially in the music industry, specifically hip hop and rap. To me, that stuff's almost demonic, honestly.
Well, I was in the music industry for 10 years. I used to be signed to Ludacris over at DTP Def Jam as an R&B artist, and I saw, not with Luda, but just being deep in the industry, I saw what people saw on the outside, and I was behind the scenes, and I saw some other stuff, and I was like, I can see how your bright-eyed, bushy-tailed favorite artist changes in such a, for the majority of artists, in such a dark way over the next 5 years. Like, what happened to the person I fell in love with? Most people are in a system, an intentional system they don't even realize that they're in, and a lot of that is what's condoned on the radio. And in order for something to get played on the radio, it has to go to music programming. It has to go, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What happened to all the conscious artists?
Don't see them.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
These people are not stupid. And my goal is just to do my part in throwing, you know, positivity and awakeness and awokeness and awareness inside of this realm of giving people a fighting chance to be alive in a world where there's walking dead people that don't even realize it.
I love that, because the mainstream media would never push that. So you have an uphill battle, but your messaging is so powerful, it's still getting to people, I think.
Yeah, and here's the thing. When I used to care that, hopefully the mainstream will see that I'm trying to do something positive. When I used to care and it didn't happen, that's when I felt the most lost and I felt the most hopeless, because I was like, well, maybe, you know, it can go on this platform and 1 million people can see it and all these different things. And I felt so hopeless. But then when I lost, it's like in losing myself, I found myself, because going after that type of image and that type of message, it made me to believe that I wasn't talented, because what was glorified and what was highlighted were people that were less talented than me. But for some reason, there was just this, people will run to whatever gets acknowledged, because people work harder for recognition than they do for money.
Right.
And I was totally unaware during that time. And so now, being so removed from the music industry and so not removed from like a higher level of spiritual attainment, and having my whole self, I was able to see the environment that I was in and what people are doing and how they do it and how they intentionally do and what happens to people afterwards. There's a reason why it's called the starving artist, for a reason. And I don't think it's because people are not talented. I think that the system is designed to do certain things to certain people, and all of it has been run by power and money and so many things like that. So it doesn't matter to me anymore if anything that I do musically, which I haven't done anything musically, but if anything that I do musically doesn't go mainstream, doesn't get a Grammy, none of that stuff matters. What matters is if one person says, well, maybe I can be myself, maybe I can do something that makes me happy, that's authentic and true to me. If one person does that, it's already a Grammy for me internally.
Wow. Love that. I love that. Do you think certain artists and celebrities, quote unquote, sell their souls? Are you interested in coming on the Digital Social Hour podcast as a guest? Well, click the application link below in the description of this video. We are always looking for cool stories, cool entrepreneurs to talk to about business and life. Click the application link below, and here's the episode, guys.
Yes. Yeah, and I'm not, that's not something I'm guessing. This is something that's a lived experience for me.
Wow.
Like, what would drive me to leave the music industry that I loved, and I love music. The industry I did not love. I saw and experienced personally too many things. And some of my greatest friends, you can see somebody that has the money, the cars, the houses, the girl, I mean, everything externally, put a bullet into his brain.
Damn.
You got to ask why, not like, oh man, he went to drugs, he went to alcohol. No, people need to start asking why. What was it that was happening when the truth shows up and you look in the mirror and nobody is around? And so when now these artists are now speaking about, my mental health is not right and people are just shutting them down, people are now starting to speak about something that's not new. And yes, it's an uphill battle, but I think that the more people start being honest and truthful with who they are and how they really feel, I think that if more people start doing that, then other people they'll feel less alone.
Right.
And people show up in places, even if they don't believe in something, but if they feel safe, even when not believing in the thing, they will continue to foster the lie. But people don't do what you say, they do what they see. So if more people start speaking about mental health and they start speaking about, you know what, I'm just not well, I'm not putting out any music, or I'm not putting out a movie, I need to get my life together. Then other people are like, you know what, me too. So that's why it's happening. Even on Netflix now, people are putting out these specials. Damn, that's what they were going through when they didn't, their last album sold 4 or 5 million, and then an album after that sold 500,000, because all us as the society sees is, oh man, they dropped the bomb, they suck. And then we as people don't let them hear the last of it.
Right. Not
realizing their mom could have died, something could have happened internally, their unborn child, and it just continues to spiral. And there's not a lot of support on a public scale. And so now more people are speaking about it, and that makes me happy because it's less work.
Same.
Less work that I have to do, feeling like, damn, does anybody else see this?
Yeah. No, that's a good point, man. I think social media's amplified the hate and the judgment. That's the one downside of it.
Yeah.
People won't say that in real life.
Yeah, it's amplified the hate and judgment, but it's also amplified simultaneously, because you can't have light without the dark, and you can't have dark without the light. So in the same attunement of it amplifying the hate and the judgment and darkness, it's also amplifying the light. And the expression and the truth.
Right.
So now it's just a more amplified version of what's always been there.
I like that. You mentioned earlier about clearing people's childhood traumas.
Yeah.
How are you able to do that?
Well, one, I had to do it for myself first. So I don't believe in just talking about something that I don't have a lived experience. And for me, it was a long journey. After I left the DTP, I was like, oh, I'll just figure it out. I'll do it by myself. And what I mean by do it by myself is I'll make the music by myself. I'll put everything out by myself.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how hard it was going to be to make money, have a daughter, be a father, be a human, be a leader in the world, create something of myself. And it was difficult. And, my pride got in the way, so it wouldn't let me get a 9-to-5 job. I lost money. I lost deals. My own ego got in the way trying to do it by myself. So I didn't understand how to cultivate a team and even knowledge and even acknowledge that. So my journey that left me from being a really talented young man to a broken down man who was $200,000 in debt, ex-convict, living in my car for 2.5 years, but meanwhile, people are seeing me saying, yo, I'm trying to be like you. And I'm like, you have no idea. I don't even want to be alive right now. So it came to the point, November 2011, where I hit my own version of rock bottom, and everybody has their own version. And my window was busted out. It was 3:43 in the morning. And it was when I just cried out, I believe in God, and I'm a follower of Christ, and I didn't know who I was crying out to.
Yeah.
And I was just like, okay, I'm tired of fighting. I don't want to fight anymore. I want to be healthy. I want to be happy. I want to be surrounded by nothing but positive people. I just want to inspire people, and I want to make a bunch of money. And I want the money to represent something that I passionately believe in, that I would do for free. Just show me a sign. So that statement started the process of me encountering a homeless man at a gas station a week later, asking me for money. And I said, you have more money than me. And the homeless guy goes, which I feel was my angel, change your mindset, change your life. It was those words that had me start thinking about my entire life different. Because your life is going to be run on the same program unless you interrupt that thought process.
Right.
So I trained myself to start doing the opposite. So
Wow.
So from a smaller scale.
Yeah.
So if I normally take the escalators, change your mindset, change your life. So I started doing the opposite, taking the escalators.
The stairs?
I started taking the stairs.
Yeah.
If I normally started taking using gel soap, change your mindset, change your life. So I started using bar soap.
Okay.
So I found these easy to do things where I was training myself to do the opposite in a world where humans base their whole lives around unconscious habitat. So this is what led me into the trauma work. I had no idea that learning how to forgive myself and forgive other people. I forgave the 2 men who murdered my father.
Damn.
I let go of the resentment of a family member who molested me when I was 13 years old, not realizing the level of energy. Your body keeps the score. The level of energy of hate and not willing to forgive that I was keeping in my body, which was blocking me from the abundance frequency, which was blocking me from intimacy, which was blocking me from partnership and building thriving relationships, and even the most important relationship, the relationship to myself and God.
Wow.
All of that came through the gateway of seeking from in my past where I was holding on to judgment and resentment from my mom, my dad, my brother, teachers, my skin color, things that have happened to me in my past. When I learned how to let all of that go, my life is a direct flip from where it was in the dark of the dark. Now it's in the highest of the high in an effortless way where I can be, think, and feel my truest, most authentic self, where the money comes in, my sexual intimacy, all of that, my relationship with my wife, my relationship with my first daughter who's 21, my now daughter who's 2, and everything in my life is a direct flip from understanding how trauma works in the body, releasing that energy, and it be filled with the love that's always been there.
Dude, this is so powerful. And I can relate because my dad never forgave his parents. And I saw that trauma eat at him, man, daily. He ran away at 18, carried that trauma for 40, 45 years. And it ate at him, man.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people have some relationship where there's some people they don't forgive.
Yeah.
And they don't even realize they're living with it in their body. So what's the process for releasing that energy?
Oh, I'm so glad you answered that question because nobody taught me this. It was just something while I was in my journey of learning more about myself. Like we can research the president you want to vote for. You put all this energy in there and you got flags to be like Biden 2024 or Trump 2024 and all this. I turned into me 2024. I turned into me, learning how to vote for myself before I put any energy into anyone else. And once I started researching, why am I sad about this? Why does this make me angry? Why do I hold on to money? Why are all these things? And if I didn't know, then it meant I was living an unconscious life. You cannot be free when you're living in an unconscious life where you don't know why you do the things that you do. So all my life, I've heard the gold is at the end of the rainbow. And I flipped it. And I said, what if the gold is at the beginning of the rainbow? Your life and the things that impacted you. So in my own self-discovery of clearing myself and learning how to become free from the inside out, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to start apologizing to people.
Wow.
There was a girl named Tess Hall when I was 7. And I've clearly, she's not going to remember what I'm going to reach out to her about on Facebook. So I pulled her drawstring over her head when she was wearing a hoodie, and I hit her over the head with a yellow backpack.
Damn.
I was 7. It's like little kids be doing random stuff when they're little kids. You know what I'm saying? So surely she's not going to remember that. I reached out to her and I said, Tess, you know, kids do the stupidest thing. You probably don't remember this, but, you know, when we were little kids, I hit you in the head with a backpack. I just wanted to apologize. She read it and didn't respond. And then I went on Facebook to create this whole public apology about something I'm sure she's not going to remember. 3 minutes, less than 3 minutes after I wrote that, she said, can you please remove that? I'm in tears right now.
Whoa.
1, why did you do that? 2, what about me made you do that? 3, same things is happening to my children and I don't know what to tell them.
Damn.
And it was that moment. I'm going to give you the practicality, but I needed to give you the context on why I'm giving you this tool that I feel everybody can benefit from. It's because you have no idea what your impact, your last impression on somebody left them with.
Wow.
So what I did from there, and I said, oh my goodness, what did I do? Who did I cheat on? Who did I break up with? When I got jumped, when I was in high school, and my goal was to write a list of all of those people's names that did something to me and I did something to them. And all I want to do is apologize for my part.
Wow.
Even if they did something to me. So I'm contacting the guy who jumped me after 25 years. Yeah. He was like, but why are you apologizing to me? We jumped you. I said, because what I did to you in my head is 1,000 times worse than what you did to me. That resentment that I held, and the resentment doesn't affect the other person. It affects you. It's like throwing pesticides on your future.
Wow.
So I wrote a list of 250 names from kindergarten all the way up to present date.
Wow.
With the intention of reaching out to people, having coffee with people, having lunch with people. And I'm aware that there are some people that it's a dangerous situation. You got to have discernment. But my goal was to apologize for any level of physicality, any level of mental hate or anything. And I just want to apologize and create the possibility for there to be a clear space where when I think about you, all I can think about you is just living a better life and you doing well with your life. Dude,
you've inspired me to write my own list tonight.
Bro, let me tell you something. Now here, I'm going to share with how energy works. There's a universal order. That's why whenever sometimes you think about, you're like, oh, whatever happened to Tom, and then all of a sudden he's like, yo, I was just thinking about you. No, that's because you're unconsciously willing things into your life, and you're working. You're like a magician, but don't know how to actually use the powers. There's a universal order that when you create space, it makes room for something else. Always create space in the womb. It makes room. You know what I'm saying? The baby creates space, and then all of a sudden it makes room for what happens through the mom.
Right.
So I would apologize to 3 people, and I was just coming into health and wellness, and all of a sudden 3 people will come into my business. And I'm like, wait a second, I just apologized to 3 people. I let go of resentment, and now there's people coming. So now imagine when forgiveness is not something that I do, it's actually a part of me. It's a frequency that wells up inside of your channel.
Wow.
And so when I became a forgiving kind of person, because you'll show up to the identity that you see in yourself. When I became the type of person that doesn't hold resentment, now who I am as a vessel is like we're the most powerful magnet in the world. So that simple step of you creating a list, you can write down 10 people. People that, you know what, I just want to call, and I'm in the process of transforming my life. And I want to apologize for, holding resentment towards you during this time. And, I don't want anything to be there. And I want to create the possibility, these specific words of when I think of you, it's nothing but love. You don't have to have the relationship if you don't want to, but if you want to, create that in the possibility. It's like when you pull out the weed, plant something else. When you do that, you will start working with the cosmos and the order of life. And you don't have to know deep into the science. You just got to position yourself in this ocean of emotion in a specific way where flow can actually live in your life.
Wow.
No different than the ocean. You don't fight the ocean. But if you position yourself in a way to swim, it will seem like you're floating. It's the exact same thing.
I love that. Now, how tough was it to be that vulnerable with people like that?
Well, I started with the whole Tess Hall thing. And when you build a habit into something, everything becomes easy.
Right.
It's easy once it turns into who you are. So I didn't start with this really hard. I didn't be like, you know what? I'm going to try this thing. I'm about to forgive the 2 men who murdered my father.
You worked your way up.
I worked my way up. You don't give a baby pre-calculus who doesn't know the ABCs.
Yeah.
So the ABC version of that was starting with forgiving myself, letting go of the resentment. And, someone, hey, I'm sorry I said that to you. I just want to apologize. I shouldn't have said that. That's on me. And then I saw what happened, and people show up to what they feel is valuable. And so once I started seeing that there was more value on the other side of that practice than me not having the practice at all, there was no way I can't show up for it. So now I don't hold any of that. People come up to me, they're like, we got to have a tough conversation. You can see the uneasiness inside of their body. And then they talk to me, Garrain, you said this in your mastermind, and you promised that we would be able to do this. And I was like, that's all you wanted to share? Thank you so much for sharing with me ways that I can better myself, because you can't see the picture while you're in the frame. It's easy for me because I've been in the practice for over a decade.
Right.
But you got to start. The only way out is through. Start somewhere, because you don't want to be the recipient that's on the other end of a life not well lived, because you don't understand your own power and the power of how energy can actually amplify your life instead of subtract your life.
Yeah. So you live a life with no regrets.
No.
What about fears?
I changed the word fear into opportunity.
Okay.
The people who created language, they coded words intentionally as well. So if you say, I hate myself, I'm ugly, I'm ugly, I'm ugly, I'm sick, I'm sick. If you say that for one day, watch what happens to your whole physiology. Because words have codes, which have frequencies, which have vibration. And the original language was sound and vibration before you can even articulate a word anyways. And so all of that is embedded inside of the word. So I don't use the word fear. I use the word opportunity because it has me thinking of different ways to create a different approach where if you hear fear, I'm scared, I'm afraid. I'm like, no, I have an opportunity to do something different. I have an opportunity to look at something different. It's like this. What do you see?
Fist. 0.
Okay. So you see a fist. You didn't say you see my face. You didn't say you see my hair and all of this other stuff in the background. So there's more than one way to look at all the things that's showing up.
Right.
So if you look at fear as, oh, I just see a fist, and don't take the opportunity to see all the other things, then you're missing out on the opportunity to approach something else from a completely different energy.
I love that. You got a wild story, man. I want to dive into some of this. I know you did some time in prison.
Yeah.
How many years were you there?
I was there for just under 2.5 years. I was serving a 12-year sentence for unknowingly smuggling 6.2 kilos of from one country to the next.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's extreme.
Yeah.
And mentally, what was that like on you?
I know there's somebody going to be like, what do you mean unknowingly? Well, I was a drug runner.
Yeah.
And it was during a time in my life where I cared more about the money and less about how I got it.
Right.
I can thank my mom for that, because one time I wanted her to buy me some $130-something pair of Jordans. She was like, well, when you can make your own money, you can buy whatever you want. Well, I just kept doing it. It didn't, not how to make the money. I just figure out any way I can make money.
Right.
The undisciplined life that lacks integrity and will do anything for a piece of paper with preconceived value is a walking dead person, just waiting for your life, to just walking around with your own shovel, digging your own early grave.
Wow.
I didn't know that. And like I said before, you can't see the picture while you're in the frame. So when I was in the frame of my past, any opportunity to make money was a great opportunity for me. So
wow.
Driving a vehicle and not asking what's in the vehicle didn't matter, because all I was thinking about was, let me get this 4,000 pounds cash. And at that time, 1 pound was $2.3 US. And I'd never gotten that fast of money by driving.
Right.
And I'm modeling, I'm on billboards, I'm in magazines, and I was getting paid every 3 months, but I never made money that fast.
Right.
So I'm driving Congo drums. I get caught at the border.
Mexico?
No. It was going from Paris to France.
Oh, wow.
There's actually a documentary called Locked Up Abroad on Discovery Channel right now about this story.
You're on it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's a whole thing. And so I was at the border, and they were like, what's in the car? I was like, Congo drums. I'm a musician. Mind you, they'd never stopped me at the border before.
Yeah.
Going from the UK to Rotterdam, I'd done the route 7 times.
Got it.
8th times I went from France, was going into the UK. They stopped me. First time they x-rayed, they took the Congo drums, put it through the x-rays. There was these little bricks. They open up the thing and they pull out these yellow bricks. And I'm like, man, I'm on billboards. I'm in magazines. My daughter was just born. All these amazing things came to fruition. And I said, for what? And that's when they sentenced me to 12 years in a French prison.
Jeez, you don't even speak French, right?
No.
So that must have been brutal.
In the beginning. Yeah, in the beginning it was brutal until this one guy kept throwing food because they have this thing where you tear up the bed sheets and pass the drugs, and I wouldn't pass it. And because I wouldn't pass it, I was interrupting whatever they were trying to pass in the sheets.
Okay.
And because I wouldn't pass it, he was throwing food in my cell. He was in another block, so I never got to see him in person. He was on another block that was above me, so every time I would open up the little window to be outside, to look outside with the bars, food would just go in every single day, and I was so pissed off, but I couldn't. He didn't understand English, so I learned fluent French, so I can curse him out in French.
Wow!
And once I became fluent, one day I came out was their version of the yard. It's called promenade. Mm-hmm. It's where we walk out in a circle for once in an hour and then 2 hours. I mean, once 1 hour in the morning and 2 hours in the afternoon. Okay. And then all of a sudden, they put him inside of our wing. Mm. And I thought I would never see him. And I hadn't seen him in a long time.
Yeah.
And this was the only fight I got into. And as soon as I saw him, I took him right into the bathroom, and you just heard ding, 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 ding. And I came out, and they never did anything to me because he caused a lot of problems in there. Uh-huh. And so I basically took care of the problem.
Wow. You beat the out of him?
And nothing ever happened.
Wow.
But it was, I don't like to fight, but I also don't tolerate like blatant disrespect.
You'll stand up for yourself.
To a certain point, I will try to use, and this was before I was aware the way that I am now.
Right.
But even in the heart of who I was, I will try to do everything that I can to not inflict harm. Mm. And when I feel like there's no choice, and at that time I didn't know how to be a calm person when I'm angry. Mm. And once I let that go, it just went dark.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how did you get out so early?
That's another question. Now knowing what I know on how human is not the final say-so when it comes to anything, because we're spiritual beings having a human experience. What I understand about value creation, and I want y'all to write this down. It's called value creation. I want you to imagine a woman who's pregnant, and then the baby grows inside of the womb. And once it gets too big for the womb, what once grew inside is produced outside, and that's called the birth, the baby. I want you to imagine that prison was my womb. It was a womb. When I stopped being a victim inside of prison, there was a switch, and I was watching Shawshank Redemption, which is a movie that's based out of prison.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, and Tim Robbins says they can take anything they want away from me, but they can't take away my mind. Mm. And it was something about that statement that said, well, you know what? Well, then I'm no longer in prison. Hmm. What can I do in here that I wouldn't normally do out there? Right there, I got caught up into the reason why I was in prison, women, money, all these other different things that I gave power to outside of me. Mm-hmm. So something needed to sit me down for long enough for me to ask different questions to myself or say different statements to myself. So in losing my freedom, I discovered my freedom. And I said, what does freedom mean to me? And when I asked that question, everything I used to love to do when I was a kid, or what I used to love to do. I used to love to sing. I used to love to motivate people. I used to love to draw. And every time I did it, it made me feel free. Mm-hmm. And I used to love to run. So I started doing all of those things while I was in prison. And all of a sudden, that no one ever used to run in those circles. Within 30 days, it went from one inmate running with me to 60-something inmates running with me.
Wow.
I saw fights. I saw drug deals. I saw people stabbing each other. And in my blind eye, I didn't see what was going on. All I was doing is what I love to do, which was run and paint portraits of other people's family members and motivate people and doing all of that. What I didn't realize was there was less stabbings, less people fighting each other, less drugs being passed, and there was and this is me connecting the dots looking backwards. There was an energy that came through me when I was my most authentic self, regardless of where I was. It's so interesting how when I felt the most free, I discovered that when physically I was the least free. So in losing my freedom, I discovered my freedom. And the outside is the physical manifestation of what's going on inside. So if internally I'm free, I realize, and there's all these people trying to fight for freedom. The frequency of fight is actually a low resonating frequency.
Really?
But when I discovered my own internal freedom, regardless if I was in prison or not, they called me out of nowhere. And they said, Jones, we retested the drugs. They had no reason to retest those drugs. They tested those drugs 3 times. It was 6.2 kilos of that I was caught with, smuggling drugs from one country to the next. When I felt free, it was an embodied sense of freedom. It was almost like there was no such thing as time, no such thing as space. I felt connected to everything. But it started internally. They called me into the office. They said, Jones, we retested the drugs. 90% was fake. And for the amount that was real, you've already done the time. You're free to go home.
Wow. And they had no reason to retest those.
2.5 years into a sentence of a 12-year sentence, they had no reason.
Wow.
But that's what, at that time, I didn't know what that was. This is as I connect the dots looking backwards. Yeah. And everybody has the backwards portal of connecting the dots. You just may not realize that you're rehashing the same habits where your future becomes a recreation of your past. And people always say, leave the past in the past. Not if you didn't get the lesson. Because if you didn't get the lesson, your prison is reliving a different version of your past over and over and over. So when I went back, I realized I had the keys to my own jail cell that I put me in long before I went into prison. And that was the power to be my most authentically expressed self.
Wow.
The things that made me the most happy when I was a little kid, which ultimately turned into my company, Artist Power. So that's what we do.
Dude, I love that. I'm thinking of what I like to do as a kid now, and I'm going to start doing that in my daily life, man.
And notice, and start journaling. It's very subtle. Most people are looking for this big change. Like if you're in the ocean, they're looking for the big whale. Don't look for the whale. While people are focusing on the whale, looking for that tiny little seahorse that's going. The changes are very, very, very subtle. And if you fix your mind to look for the subtle, out of the ordinary sequence of events that happen when you start nurturing what you used to love to do as a child, that seed is connected to something that's part of a much bigger picture.
A collective consciousness, right?
100%.
Yeah, I've been going down this rabbit hole, and I really do believe in it, man. There's too many coincidences for it not to be
way too many.
Way too many. I mean, so you basically think humans are in control of their destiny?
I believe that they have access to player one, and that there is a higher intelligence, and that most humans in the world are so far.
That's a nice way of putting it.
So without getting science, because I always like to share things that the most common person can practically digest,
right,
so they can at least attempt to do something
in
this world of the weapons of mass distraction. Most humans are suffering in the world. This ain't just religion. This ain't just like your skin color. Most humans are suffering in the world through a lack of authentic connection with themselves. And if they learned how to do simple things, why do you think time stops when you dance? When you just start doing arts, you're like, I don't know where time went. Or if you have a conversation, a stimulating conversation with somebody, it's like, where'd the time go? No, you've actually entered into another realm, and there's more where that came from. But if you give your body more of that, it's kind of like ABCs. ABCs turns into words, turns into sentences, paragraphs, essays, books. Most of the world haven't learned the ABCs of understanding higher level of consciousness. So therefore, the opposite of that is suffering.
Wow. That's deep, man.
And it starts when we're little kids.
Yeah.
And then we go to these public schools where they teach, I feel intentionally, how to get further and further away from your natural state, from your natural, authentic self. But my 2-year-old daughter, all we do is foster what's already inside of her.
Love it.
Not try to dictate what she does based off of what I didn't get as a little kid. And most people are unaware, so I don't want to fault people for being unaware, because I truly do believe that, especially parents, they're doing the best they can with what they know.
Right.
But there are certain people that are very, very clear on their agenda, what their intentions are, and how to dress up a short-term play, a mid-term play, a long-term play, let's say like 300 years, 200 years. Even the public school system hasn't changed, but everything else has. I wonder what happens when most people die and go to their deathbed with less than $70 in their account.
Jeez.
I wonder where that starts.
That's a fact. Most people die with 70 or less. That's kind of concerning.
So, if I wanted to plant a seed, I would plant the seed into the kids.
I agree. It's a shame how their innocence and their youth, their just experience growing up is taken away.
Yeah.
From the public education system.
Yeah, and there are people, and I don't want to take that, I'm not going to say everybody, but I'm saying the system itself. You don't change, it's difficult to change the people. What you do is you change the system, and the system changes the people. You don't just change the flower, you change the soil. And the soil, it's rich fertilizer.
Yeah.
And the public school system, in my experience, it's not the teachers. The system in itself is not rich soil. It's not rich soil. They take music out of school. You mean they take the invisible language that's actually one of the original language, high level of frequency and vibration, out of elementary schools? A lot of them are taking art out of those schools. Okay, I see. See, I love putting puzzle pieces together. And so it's not downing the teachers. It's the system that needs to upgrade.
Yeah.
We got iPhone 1, iPhone 9, iPhone 10. They see what's not working. They see what's working. iPhone 11, iPhone 15. And it's in a major need of an upgrade season. Our upgrade season, our government, the way that it's run, the way that they speak to the people, all the lies, playing people on one another. It's like, y'all don't see these fights?
Yeah.
I don't want to fight with you because you don't believe what I believe. I'd like to learn from you to know what's there.
Oh, yeah. They're always putting two sides against each other. It's so blatant. Yeah, I don't know if people are falling for it, honestly, but there's a lot
there's a lot of people that are.
Oh, a lot, yeah. But going back to the kids real quick, there's a lot of young parents watching this show with kids.
Yeah.
What's your advice to them?
Ask them what they want. No one ever asked me what I want. They told me, you need to do this. You should do this. You should do that. And, you know, living vicariously through other people. And, you know, I remember being a little kid and my mom said, and this is not downing my mom. She was an extraordinary woman. Mm-hmm. But one time she was like, oh, don't grow your hair like that. It's nappy and those colors don't go together. You know, when I was trying to express myself through clothes. Mm-hmm. And I remember yelling, I said, Mom, ask me if I love it. Mm. And I didn't even know what I was saying. That was me fighting for my own self-expression and my own freedom. Adults, I feel, are deteriorated children. Mm. And so if you're a young parent, start asking what your child wants from a place of learning, not a place of dictation based off of what you didn't get when you were a little kid. Because basically, people don't do what you say, they'll do what they see. And if you're not happy, and if you didn't get to do what you wanted to do, and you don't have the emotional intelligence to be able to have certain conversations with your kids, I think more than anything, start learning how to reparent yourself. Yeah. And start taking emotional intelligence courses. Somebody told me, well, a baby is too small. They can't learn. Their brains doesn't even develop by the time till they're like 6 or 7. I was like, so tell me about the kid who's 5 years old that knows 7 different languages. They're absorbing the information. Yeah, they may not process the whole thing, but from ages 0 to 7 is where you literally code everything that most 70-year-old adults are living by right now.
Yeah, I heard it's 90% those ages.
Based off of a set of agreements and things that you learned right now. So it's coding season for my daughter. Nice. My daughter is speaking French right now. Wow. She's speaking Spanish, not fluently, but I know French from what I learned in prison. So I'm sharing that. And so she's like, bisous, you know, and throw in the femme la peau, like close the door. She's learning all at the same time. And when Blair and I argue, we make up right in front of Soul. So Soul is modeled healthy resolution. I didn't know it that. I just knew silence. That's what I saw. So when I try to resolve something, sometimes I get silent because that's what was modeled. So now Soul at 2, I've seen her with her friends resolve conflict the way it's being modeled in the house.
Wow.
Yeah, because people don't do what you say. They do what they see. So what I would say, again, to young parents, that nothing speaks louder than your personal example. What you eat, how you eat, what you say, what you don't say, how you acknowledge, what you're not acknowledging, how you treat your partner is all being coded. And that's the makeup that's going to grow the seed that your child will then turn into an entire forest based off of your own personal example.
Love that, man. Garrain, it's been a pleasure. Anything you want to close off with or promote?
I'll start with the promotion, then I'll close out with just a quick closed eye meditation.
Let's do it.
Some people is like, well, I don't know about this woo-woo stuff. Hey, listen. This might be the thing that opens you up to the gateway to everything that you ever wanted in your life. So I wouldn't be so quick to shut down a part of yourself that most people try to numb out.
Yeah.
But I will share that everything that I do pertains to authentic self-expression, and so that you can speak and be your truth out in the world. I work with high-level business entrepreneurs. I work with artists and creators. I do a retreat called Artist Power Awakened, and I do a high-level leadership mastermind And it's called Artist Power Leadership, where you're learning how to speak and evoke presence and learning the range of coaching and facilitating and understanding how to facilitate energy in a very high level, whether you're speaking to people on a podcast, on TV, on stage, speaking to 50,000 people on Zoom. It's, are you being your true and full self? And if you're calling yourself leading anybody, they're learning from your energy. And so if you're unaware of how to navigate that in your own self, you could be missing out on millions of dollars and hundreds and thousands of dollars, or even getting something going.
For sure.
So yeah, and in January, I have Artist Power Leadership starting, and then we're going to close that with a retreat in Costa Rica. So
Nice.
You can definitely message me and my team. It's an interview process, get that going. And my next Artist Power Awakened retreat will be like 70 people.
Wow.
That will be in Austin, Texas in June.
Nice. We'll put the link in the description.
Of course.
Awesome. Let's bang out this meditation.
Yep. All right, cool. So if everybody out there can close your eyes. And I want you to take a deep breath in your nose, out your mouth, in your nose, out your mouth with a sigh. In your nose, out your mouth with a smile. In your nose, out your mouth with a song. In your nose, out your mouth with a song. In your nose, out your mouth with a song. In your nose, out your mouth with a song. In your nose, out your mouth with a song. Hold it, hold it, hold it. Take a deep breath and say to yourself, I accept all of me fully. I accept my dark side fully. I accept my light fully. And I love all parts of me without leaving anything left behind. Now open your eyes. This is your presence. This is your power. This is capital YOU, without the need of approval, trying to fit inside of other people's groups, trying to be somebody else. This is what it means to be in your body and be yourself. Thank y'all for tuning in, and may you have the most prosperous life.
See you guys tomorrow. Peace.